I read it, and right away I was very intrigued, because it was the kind of script that it was. The tone of it was so unique. It wasn't a kind of obvious humor and it took me a couple of reads to kind of go to really sort of see how special it was. The first read was like, wow, that was really fun. I didn't expect that, and I don't recall ever sort of reading a script that had compiled so many of the ideas of just sort of such unique kind of, I described it as a good old-fashioned romp. You know, it was like of another era of comedy, and the characters were just very much not completely, didn't feel contemporary, the characters, but it was set in contemporary times. So it was just sort of a good old-fashioned clean romp. PJ is a roper, and she calf roper, and she competes, and that's sort of what she has. She does. She works in a chicken plucking factory, but she also competes as a roper, which brings in a little extra money. And but it's something she's done her whole life. If you go to Texas, you realize that growing up, you probably should have a hobby, because there's not a lot to do there. In the middle of the day, you're kind of like, it's hot, and what am I gonna do? I'll go out and rope some calves, probably. Sounds pretty good. You build a real relationship with your horse, you know? I wanted to know what it was like to at least throw a lasso, you know? What it would feel like to be up on a horse, swinging a rope, throwing it down on a calf. And so I trained with a girl named Stephanie Sullivan, who's a competitive roper, and she taught me how to throw. And it was really a lot of fun. I never actually roped a actual live calf, but they do this. One of the practices that they do is there's a big, like a wrought iron, iron calf, like a statue that gets that's on a sled that gets pulled behind a tractor, and the tractor takes off, and you get on the horse and you ride behind that, and you rope that, so it's going at a speed. And so that was a lot of fun. I learned how to do that. Everything about our worlds are opposite. Everything's clashing, you know. Texas is dry and hot. England is cold and wet. You know, he's put together, she lets loose. She is very truthful and honest about who she is, and he is completely doesn't own who he is and is constantly trying to pretend he's something different. She's in it for a good time, and he's in it for the money, you know? So they're very much, you know, she doesn't have anything to prove. Feels like he has tons to prove. So they're very, very different from one another, but because of their differences, they kind of, you know, the path that they're on together, the experience that they're in together, because of their differences, they end up in the right place, you know, together. It's a very unique relationship. I've loved playing PJ. She's so much fun. She just doesn't have any, you know, there's inhibitions. You know, she's not worried at all about what people think of her. She's wants to embrace every experience. She's an adventurer. She's not in it for the money. The money she doesn't even believe that it's possible that anyone would even believe that this painting, you know, is real. One, she doesn't really understand it. No one would ever pay that much money for anything. So she's along for the ride. She's just in it for the adventures, to get what she can get out of it. She's going to England, she gets to stay in a hotel, she gets to go on a date, she gets all these things that she kind of takes advantage of because they're being offered to her. And none of it is ever really for the money.